trainer, what do you need to know to become one? Hi everybody, I'm Mike Simons with TruckDriversMoneySavingTips.com, welcoming you to tonight's broadcast. Thanks for joining us. The question comes down to, why do you want to become a driver trainer? Can you make more money as a driver trainer? Yes, you can. But I'm going to be testing some motives this evening. Why do you want to become a driver trainer? I'm going to share with you some experiences that I have had as a trainee and as a driver trainee myself. I have 16 and a half years professional driving experience. I've done local, regional, long haul, as a solo driver, a driver trainer, a husband and wife team. I've done dry van, I've done refrigerated van, I've done tanker and flatbed, and there's a lot of experience that I have. My experience as a driver trainer came from being in the dry van side, and also as a trainee on the dry van, a little bit on the refrigerated side, and also being trained as a flatbed driver. That was a little bit of a challenge, but thankfully I was with one guy who had several years of experience, knew what it was that he was doing, and he made it really beneficial here for me. But I want to go ahead and just jump right on in. There are some questions, actually 10 background questions, that I want you to consider on why you want to become a driver trainer. Now, I'm going to be answering that question here in the end. So why do you want to become a driver trainer? Number one, how much experience do you need to have? I wrote down here, you need to have at least 1 year of experience. Some companies, they may try to pair you up with somebody who's got 3 months, 6 months. No. You want to be paired up with a driver trainer who has at least a year of experience. More is better. The reason why you want to have more experience and should consider having at least 5 years of experience is because you have more situations, more experiences that you can draw upon and be able to share with the trainee that comes up into your truck. So that's something to consider right there. Number two, are you comfortable having someone else in your unit? When you go out as a solo driver, you are the sole manager of your unit. And you're probably used to things being done a certain way. When I did local, when I did regional, when I did long haul, I was used to driving my rig my way. There were certain ways that I like to be able to do things. That's what I was used to. If you wind up going out as a trainer, as far as your over-the-road position is concerned, a big thing to consider is that trainee is going to be with you 24/7. Can you handle having somebody else up in the cab of that truck with you all day and all night? Another part of that to consider with having somebody else in your unit is this: do you have room for more personal belongings for your trainee to bring? We have on the TruckDriversMoneySavingTips.com website, on the free downloads page, a packing list on things that you will want to have in your truck, and I believe we also have up there information that if you're going to be a driver trainer or if you're going to be a trainee, what are some very basic things that you're going to want to bring along. If you're going to become a driver trainer, you want to have an understanding with the trainee on certain things that they're going to bring along, certain basic essentials that they're going to have. This is a no-frills position. So you got your own stuff up there. He has or she has. There are certain basic things. There's not room for a lot of extras. I remember, again, doing regional and long haul, that I had my unit set up the way I wanted for it to. And when I had a trainee to come in and join me, that there wasn't a lot of room. And I made them abundantly aware of that. I made known to my trainees, here's what you need to bring. Make sure you bring these things here with you. Point number three to consider: can you verbalize what you already know, but to put it in understandable terms? I'm going to go into a little bit more depth than that further in here in the broadcast this evening. The point that I'm going to be driving home with this is that you're going to need to talk and model what is needed for that trainee to be successful. You need to be comfortable with talking. Do you consider yourself a teacher's type? If you do, you'll need to take what they already know and add to it. The foundation and framework, let's look at it this way. For the house that's being built, it's been prepared. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be responsible for adding to the rooms as far as the framework of their house is concerned. Now, if you're thinking about becoming a driver trainer, if you're already a driver trainer, here is a major pet peeve of mine. I'm going to be very forthright on this. And that is, you're going to have a trainee in your truck who has spent hundreds, probably even thousands of dollars to go to truck driver training school, and then he gets up in your rig, or she gets up in your rig, and you tell them, trainee, forget everything you know. I'm going to show you how it's done in the real world. Stop it. Stop it. It does not give you any degree of credibility. It makes them feel foolish and irresponsible, and asking them, well, why did I spend thousands of dollars to go get my CDL, and now he's telling me to forget everything it was that I learned? It makes him look incompetent. It makes him look foolish. It does not put you into a good light. Trainer, you are responsible for training that individual that comes into your unit in a safe and legal way. You are responsible. You are responsible for taking what they already know, finding out what do they already know as a trainee, and building upon that, not ripping to shreds what it is that they supposedly don't know. But there's plenty they don't know, but you need to build upon what they do know. They have a Class A CDL. There are some things they had to be able to learn to get that Class A. You are responsible to build upon it and not to tear them down. So being a teacher type is a very, very responsible position. Another aspect of this that I toss out to you is that instead of complaining, can you use your observation skills to explain what you're seeing while you're driving, backing, doing other maneuvers, getting dispatches and load assignments, performing customer service activities? Instead of complaining, you need to take the part of the trainer, of the teacher, and show them, here's how I do it. Here's the experience that I have on being able to create a very positive experience for that trainee when they're going down the road, seeing what's happening around them, when they're backing, when you should be on the ground. Okay, how do you handle dispatches? How do you do when it comes to going into the customer, when they go to the shipper, when they go to the receiver? What's the best way to show them how to do that? So you're going to become part of a trainer. You're going to need to wind up being very responsible for that. Question number 4 to consider: what about smoking or non-smoking in your unit? If you happen to wind up being a non-smoker, as I happen to be, are you going to allow the trainee to smoke in your rig? Chances are you probably wind up saying, no, you're not going to smoke in my rig. You can smoke outside. When we wind up stopping to take a break, you can smoke there. If you happen to be a smoker, are you going to respect maybe the wishes of the trainee and saying, I smoke, you may want to smell of smoke, you may want to be allergic to it, okay? But what are you going to do when it comes to the smoking, non-smoking situation? That's something that you have to consider. I remember going out with my driver trainer when I had first come out from truck driver training school. We'd gotten on with Swift Transportation, and my trainer was a heavy smoker. And it affected me. It affected me quite drastically. I remember when we switched companies, and Vicki and I were still as a husband-wife team, and we had gotten into a unit that had been very heavily smoked in. It took us some time to get used to that. So there are some things to consider when it comes to smoking or not smoking as far as your unit is concerned. You want to think those over there carefully. Number 5. This goes without saying, but I'm going to toss it out. How often are you going to shower? I mean, the road dirt gets on you after a while, and you're going to need to get into a truck stop. You're going to need to get some hot soapy water on that dirty, nasty body of yours and get cleaned up. How often are you going to need to shower? I remember going out with my trainer for the first time, and it had been quite a few days since we had gotten a shower after when I had come out with him, and we were able to go get a shower. And I remember asking him, when are we going to stop and get a shower? To which he said, I was waiting for you to ask me that. I mean, we're talking about being clean and fresh, and while I understand you can't maybe necessarily shower every day, what about every other day? For me, it was by the third day, that truck is stopping. Period. No questions asked. So when it comes to how often are you going to shower, an aspect of that to consider is this: you need to shower separately. Men and women, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Guys, it's the trainee needs to be away from you. He needs to have his own shower room. One point to consider when it comes to getting a shower is when you, as the trainer, shower, your trainee needs to shower too. Period. No questions asked. Pack your shower bag. We're going in. We're getting a shower. You're going to shower. No questions asked. Number 6. How often are you going to be evaluated on your driver training skills and training? Is the trainee going to be evaluating you? Are they going to be calling you in? Are they going to be asking you how's it going? Are they going to be giving you up-to-date information in terms of being evaluated, what it is exactly that you can expect? That goes hand in hand, I think, with number 7 here, and that is, does your company have forms that must be completed? Such as, is there a curriculum that you're going to follow, or you're going to be required to, well, just kind of wing it? Most of the training companies out there, I believe, are going to have some guidelines that you need to follow in terms of, here's what this trainee needs to know by the time he or she finishes up with you. We're going to provide the forms here for you, and this is what you're going to need to evaluate. And as they get comfortable with being in the truck, and it may wind up being a little bit of a rough time for the first few days, but as they get comfortable being in the unit and the things they learn that you are going to be teaching them, there are going to be some forms that you're going to be filling out. So you're going to have probably a curriculum of sorts, but they kind of leave it up to you in terms of how you need to do it. Structured to a certain extent, I suppose we could say. Another point to consider is this: will your trainee be evaluating you? As you're filling out forms and sending in the forms to the company, if they require forms of such, is that trainee going to be talking with the company when you're not around? Are they going to bring that trainee in and say, evaluate Mike Simons, how was he as a trainer? You need to wind up being prepared for something like that. Question number 8. Because you are the one in control of your unit and the ultimate boss, I suppose we could say, what will you do when your trainee refuses to obey a reasonable order? I was out with my first trainee, and we were going through an area in North Carolina where there was some construction, and the speed limit went from a 65 to a 60 to a 55 to a 55 work zone. And he never let up off the fuel. We continued going 65. Well, he was taught in his truck driver training school and with the company that he had been with before that, well, I'm in control of the unit and I can do, it's the speed limit or whatever it is I can basically wind up getting away with. I told him to slow the unit down, and he refused to wind up doing that. And we had a little bit of a disagreement here, and I told him, get it to the next rest area, pull it over. In 24 hours, that trainee was out of my truck because it was a reasonable request. I knew that law enforcement patrolled very heavily down in through that particular area, and I knew that they pulled over cars, they pulled over commercial motor vehicles as well. I had seen more than my share of them. But 24 hours later, he was out of that truck. He did not get behind the steering wheel again. I had reservations. I had concerns, questions. Was I doing the right thing? I knew there were a couple of other driver trainers in the company, and I called and asked them, am I making the right decision? To which they assured me, yes, you are most definitely making the right decision. We would have probably pulled it over beforehand because, of course, they were familiar with that area. But what will you do if your trainee refuses to obey a reasonable order? That's something you want to think about. Number 9, will your company give you additional pay as a trainer? Most companies, if they're worth a grain of salt, yes, that they are going to wind up giving you additional pay. You may have a salary of some sort, regardless of the miles it is that you cover. They may give you a certain amount, a flat out amount. They may have it where we say, okay, we'll pay you X number of dollars per day that you have a trainee with me. A good company will provide an incentive of some sort. However, I'm going to say and look at this because there's a much deeper question to be answered, and that is why you would become a driver trainer, and that is the money you earn should be a side benefit. Is money everything? Hang on to the end because I'm going to answer that question even more fully. Question number 10, will you be driving as a team or will you be up front at all times with the trainee while he or she is driving? When I first came out of truck driver training school and went with my training company, we trained as a team. We were responsible for going coast to coast. And I remember my trainer saying, after I finished my period of time behind the steering wheel, better get up in the bunk because you're going to be back behind the steering wheel 5 hours and 5 hours. I stayed ragged out most of the time because, I mean, what sort of restorative sleep can you get in the space of 5 hours? The truck is bumping. I was up on an upper bunk and it just flat out was not comfortable. However, when I became a driver trainer, they told me that you are going to be up front at all times. We do not do the team training because you need to be upfront with your trainee in case a mistake of some sort was to get made. They need to hear from you directly. You have an opportunity to observe. But you may want to looking to train with a company that their experience is as a team. While you're driving, the trainee is going to be in the bunk and vice versa. If such is the case, you must have nerves of steel if you're going to be a driver trainer and it is a team driving experience. When Vicky and I finally came together as a husband-wife team after we finished our training time, it took me quite a period of time to get used to her. She had already gone through her training. I had already gone through my training. It took me a while to get comfortable sleeping behind her. I had to learn to trust her. What are you going to do? And this is the question I want you to think about, that if it's a team driving experience, when it comes to training, are you going to be comfortable sleeping behind that trainee for the first time? I think that if you're not comfortable with that, maybe talk to your company about it and say, look, we've got a training program. I want to be up front at all times. I need to observe them. I need to be able to explain. I need for them to see things. I want to be there with them. Be up front at all times. I don't want to do a team experience. I tell you that because you don't want to be awakened because of a bad accident in which your unit happens to be involved. I see the pictures. I see the accidents. What if that was a training truck? That is something you want to consider. Number 11, are you prepared to tell, demonstrate, and then allow your trainee to model what is needed in order to be successful? Here's where I'm going to elaborate and go into some detail here. You, as the trainer, are responsible for everything that trainee needs in order to be successful as a professional driver in his or her own unit. They've come out from school. They've gotten the foundation. Now they're out with you. Now we're going to ramp it up. You may not be able to kind of tell them absolutely everything, okay? But you probably have enough knowledge, have enough experience to be able to share with your trainee what they need, what you have come across with your several years of experience, what they need to be successful. You're going to be responsible for that. Are you up to that task? You need to take what you already know and be able to transfer that knowledge to your trainee. You need to be able to do it in an understandable way. Yeah, we've got the trucking lingo out here. Make sure they understand what it is that you're saying. You can go through. You can tell them. You can model it, okay? And then ask them, do you understand what I'm saying here? Do you understand what I'm doing here? Yes or no. It helps you to be able to evaluate the effectiveness of your training with the trainee who is there in the cab of your truck. You need to be able to answer questions, be able to present scenarios, interact, be able to communicate well to give your trainee what is needed in the time limit that has been specified by your company. They can't be with you forever. But if you have several years of experience, you can be able to say, okay, I had so-and-so situation happen to me here. Here's how I responded. We did it with very, very good results, okay? But it comes down to tell, demonstrate, and then let that trainee be able to model what it is that you have learned. There may be times when you can have it where you're not under the pressure, under the gun to be able to get to your next shipper or to your consignee, and you have some wonderful time here to be able to, to get into a truck stop, be able to get into a docking situation, to be able to get down on the ground, show them when it comes to backing. I've done that with the trainees that I had in my unit, to get down on the ground, being able to help other drivers. Be able just to back it in. It was a pleasure to be able to help them, and they were so grateful, even having had many years of experience. Okay, but you need to have several years of experience, okay, to be able to answer the questions, the scenarios, anything that can come across your way, because all it comes down to it, you're the one who's going to be responsible to help that trainee be successful here in the industry. If you find when it comes to telling, demonstrating, and then allowing that trainee to be able to model what it is that you've done, if you find you can't do this, or you find yourself saying, I don't know what I would do in X situation, then may I pass along a strong recommendation to you? Don't become a trainer. Please don't do it. To take a rig that can weigh up to 80,000 pounds when you get into the over-dimensional, you are responsible for a lot. You don't want to be considered to be a failure as far as a trainer. You're being a teacher here. And if you say, I just can't do this, that's fine. There's no issues there. There's no regrets with taking somebody who's just come out of truck driver training school and say, I can't do this. That's okay. But if you're good and you're safe and you're legal and you're comfortable, okay, with helping out some other drivers, being able to present in a more informal situation with a trainee, okay, who's, a trainer is maybe just kind of a little bit of a quandary in terms of what do I do? Well, you could pass along and say, well, here's what I've done, and you could pass along and ask, may I share some advice, and see if it's welcomed here. But if you just can't picture yourself doing something like this, doing this 24/7 and being a teacher, there's no shame in that, okay? Because it is a tremendous decision to become a driver trainer. On a personal note, let me pass this along. And I have read some very disheartening, bad stories that have very much angered me with what I have seen, and that is this: sexual harassment is illegal. If you are thinking about becoming a driver trainer and you're a male and you're looking to take advantage of, hint at taking advantage of, or even talking suggestively to the females who get up into your truck, may I tell you very straightforwardly that you are unworthy to be a driver trainer and you are a disgrace to the industry. Don't do it. My wife went out with a male driver trainer. She felt extremely comfortable with him. Why? They were there to do a job. It was a team training situation there. But if you're even thinking about this, don't do it. The reason why I tell you this is that there are small recording devices that can be used to record conversations without you even knowing. Don't try it. You may find yourself as a defendant in a lawsuit, out of your driver trainer position. You may not even be working for that company anymore, and you could find yourself spending some time behind bars if you attempt to do this with the wrong person. You never know when that trainee, when that lady has a legal services plan, or she's got access to an attorney or to a law firm, and all of a sudden this thing winds up coming up and she's got the little tape recorder and that's your voice and the tape hasn't been edited. You can find yourself in a heap and lot of trouble. So just so that you know, sexual harassment of any sort is illegal. Don't do it. So I've given you several different things here to consider. These are probably just a few of the plethora of questions that you could probably come up with that I've come up with. I've got tons more I could probably share with you here, but just something for you to want to think about if you're thinking about becoming a driver trainer. So it comes down to this question: can the money be good as a driver trainer? Yes, without a doubt. If you get a straight salary, if they give you a per day that a trainee is with you, there is no doubt in my mind, in my thinking, that it can wind up being extremely lucrative. The money that you can wind up making with this is very good. You can take the money if you find yourself thinking, I've got a lot of experience. There are some ideas I can pass along, okay, that I think some individuals might like, and take that money and set it aside, and you can become a great driver trainer. But here's the ultimate question, and that's this: why do you want to become a driver trainer? Is it because of the money that you can wind up making, even though the money is very good? My answer to that question is no. Money should not be your sole motivation. Here is my answer to the question on why do you want to become a driver trainer. So listen up very carefully, listen up very closely. If you are thinking about becoming a driver trainer, if you are currently a driver trainer and you are in it just for the money, I want to refocus your thinking for just a moment here. The reason why you want to become a driver trainer is this: it's because you want to make the industry and the highways a better and a safer place to be. Money is a side benefit. I see the accidents. I see the horrendous situations here. I see the pictures of these drivers that God only knows why they took their 13.6 unit under a 12-foot bridge or under a 13-foot bridge. What happened in terms of the breakdown in training? That you don't go out with a GPS as far as it being used for a car is concerned. Tractor trailer units are 13 foot 6 inches tall. What was that trainee thinking? Was there something that broke down in terms of the training that he got or that she got? Was there something that happened in terms of a horrendous accident with the turning radius? There's any number of questions, any number of scenarios, and you've seen the pictures. I know that you have. You don't go into becoming a driver trainer because of the money. Don't do it because of that. The money is good. Do it because you want to make the trucking industry, of which you are a part, a better place to be. You want to make the highways a safer place to be. We can't help with the stupidity that goes on as far as the four-wheelers are concerned, okay? I'm not going to rant and rail about that because that's not my purpose here this evening. But what you can do instead, with that trainee being behind that steering wheel, okay, look, see what they're doing here, okay? You want to observe, see all the things that are going on around you, okay? When it comes to the backing situation, when it comes to going forward, when it comes to getting in as far as that tight parking space that the truck stop is concerned, okay? With any number of situations, okay? You want to help that trainee be a better driver to avoid those accidents. You want to make the trucking industry a better place. You want to make the highways a safer place to wind up being. You can have professional driver trainer prospect a vital role in making this goal, this dream, as I have shared it with you, a reality. Again, being a driver trainer is not for everybody. I enjoyed the time that I was in it. I am no longer training, but I had a wonderful time for the most part what I was doing to help pass along some ideas, some experiences that I had, and they were, the vast majority of them were extremely grateful for it. So why do you want to become a driver trainer? Hopefully some things for you to want thinking about here. We've had some comments coming through here. And nothing I don't think I particularly need to wind up addressing, but we welcome your input. If you would like to be able to share some comments after this broadcast is over, please feel free to do so. You can also go to our website, TruckDriversMoneySavingTips.com. We'd love to hear from you. To be able to, if you're thinking about becoming a driver trainer, to be able to help you, would love to hear some ideas here from you. I'm Mike Simons. We thank you for joining us here on the broadcast this evening. As always, Vicky and I wish you great wellness, purpose, and abundance, as well as safe travels and lots of money-saving opportunities on the road. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thanks. Good night.